Okay, so we've had a bit of a chat ski today. I want to end with a voice message because I put on our Facebook group, anyone had any questions for Sim, and someone wrote in like, hey, do you want to do a voice message? And, it's not the song that I made you. It's somewhere else. So I made Sim a song, everyone. You can listen to it on her podcast. I did it with AI. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Where are we here? I'm going to play this to you and we'll get your response.
Hi Sim, my name is Manhar. Like yourself, I am the daughter of immigrants. My family moved to Dubai from India when I was 5 years old. And then when I was 19, I moved to Melbourne all by myself to study. And then eventually I have been working ever since I graduated. I have really come to love Melbourne and enjoy Melbourne, but at the same time, something that keeps me awake at night is how accessible wealth is as someone living in Australia, because the taxation is pretty high, not just for employees, but also business owners. And there's also a capital gains tax. I, having lived in the UAE for so long, my parents never had to pay tax, but at the same time, I also see them work a lot, and it makes me worried about what their life would look like when they're not working, because retirement is something that only very rich people can experience in the UAE. And so my vision for the future is not to be fancy, crazy rich. I see myself being rich enough to, support my family, support myself and my future family. But the policies and the rules and the laws within Australia make me feel increasingly worried about whether this will be a possibility for me. I'm also looking into alternative sources of income outside of my daytime job, 9 to 5, which is doing freelancing and also starting another business. But I am really not sure about whether Australia is a place where I can still build that kind of wealth. I would love to hear from someone like you who has traveled around the world, but has still chosen to stay in New Zealand, about what your thoughts are on the matter, and any advice would be appreciated.
All right. That was a great comment and question there.
Very good question.
What do you say to Manhar?
I feel like there's a couple of schools of thought that have come up, and it's such a good question. And I love it when people take a moment to step back and go, is my current reality completely set up for me to be successful? Because it's very hard to look at your life from outside your life. And I feel like she's kind of stepped out and gone, okay, this is where I am, this is where I'm building. Is there a better place for me to be, a better career for me to have, a better job for me to do, a better side hustle? She's questioned everything, and I feel like that's a really great place to start. In terms of taxation, so I guess I have a bit of bias here as someone that has chosen to stay in this part of the world where...
Sim's moving to Newcastle, everyone. You heard it here first.
No. I guess there's no right or wrong. My thought is you kind of have a trade-off with either answer. So you might decide, and I have friends that have done one or the other. I have a friend that lived in the UK, and then her career was growing and her business was something that she could do online. And she said, well, why stay in the UK where I'm getting paid well, but my taxes are really high? I'm going to move to Dubai and have zero taxes. Now, the pro of that is I asked her, I was like, why would you? And how does that feel? And she said, well, Sim, what it would take me to earn by working over 10 years, in her view, she can earn that by working for 5 years with no tax. That was her thought process. I don't know if the math really works out because you're shaking your head. No.
I'm not shaking my head about the maths. I'm just shaking my head. I was like, what are we doing here? Like, at what cost do you do what you want to do? That's the question.
And that's exactly
at what cost.
That's exactly where I'm. That's exactly where I'm going with this. Like, there is, in my opinion, no right or wrong, but there is a trade-off of each side. And so, yes, you can live in a country where the taxation is a lot better, but remember the beauty of tax, or the reason why tax exists, is it's money that the government takes from all forms of income.
We the people.
And that money is redistributed back into making our day-to-day life better. And I sound like I am a government plant by saying that, because
you're a commie.
I am all for, a fair tax system. And so, to me, the downsides are things that she has mentioned. For example, it is harder to retire in a country like that because there is no social security. The healthcare is not going to be well equipped to taking care of you if you are old or sick. The schooling systems that are free are not of high quality. And so you end up with a system where it's very every man for himself, and that works really well when you are young and you have a lot of income and you have disposable income, but it has a downside risk to it. And if you're okay with that, then I'm not here to judge or say that that is wrong, because there actually isn't a wrong answer. It's legal. It's fine. And it works for a lot of people, like the friend that I mentioned. And then there's the other side where you can live in a country like Australia or New Zealand or any country that does have, slightly higher taxes. I would actually say Australian income tax is not that high compared to if you lived in like LA or New York with federal and state tax.
Yeah, and the local taxes and all that, yeah.
So we're actually better off in Australia and New Zealand. And corporate tax in Australia is actually not that bad either. It's actually in the middle.
Yeah. For most like small businesses in the company tax, sub 30, like 25, I think.
Yeah, it's lower. New Zealand is 28 for everyone, equal. Yeah. And so it's actually pretty high, but also not that bad. So on one hand, yes, it sucks. On the other hand, you pay tax. It does slow down the ability to grow wealth. But I would argue that living in a country that has really good resources, social support, and a country that can pay for their people to live well, be safe, be happy, and be educated is probably a better place to grow your wealth, and you can probably grow wealth faster if you are educated, looked after, feel safe, feel comfortable. There's benefits of, in my opinion, staying in a country that has a strong support system. And so in my personal belief, I've decided to stay in New Zealand and, pay my taxes in New Zealand. It is a little bit easier with online businesses to offshore them if you wanted to. And again, this comes back down to my patriotism, which may be slightly unwarranted. But I like paying my taxes because for me, I went to a public school. For me, that was what raised me. When my dad got really, really ill, he had multiple MRIs, multiple CT scans. He got given a free speech therapist, occupational therapist. There were a few others. Someone would come to our home and check on him and practice helping him learn how to speak again because he couldn't speak. And that cost us nothing except they didn't even charge us parking fees. They were like, oh, by the way, going to the public hospital, here's some car parking vouchers because you shouldn't have to pay for car parking. All those things were free. And I remember doing the math. And it would have been if we had lived in the US and we didn't have insurance, it would have been over $1 million worth of debt.
Yeah, it's wild.
For me, it's not a perfect system, but that's the system I like and it works for me. There's also nothing wrong with going, I want to live in a country that doesn't offer that support and therefore I don't have to pay that tax. But then you just have to live with the lack of that support.
Yeah. I think what I liked about her question was she was very intentionally thinking.
Yes.
And this can be a curse of someone who is switched on and smart and strategic. But I like to say you've got to take it back to lifestyle and direction first, and then we plug our money into that, and the tax will be as it may. The rules of the day will be as it may. We don't want to make – I don't think it's healthy for the long term to make strategic life decisions around tax or anything like that. Like, sure, if you were hugely – a lot of celebrities offshore their residence and all that stuff, and I know people who live in Dubai and don't pay any tax and all that stuff. Like, if you want to do that for a while, knock yourself out. But I just think, what do you want to build your life? How do you want to build your life? If you like Australia, if you enjoy Australia, if you enjoy New Zealand, build a life there, be intentional, and then the cards will fall as they may where it comes to tax.
I completely agree. I have a friend that lives in New York and then spends 51% of her time in Miami because that makes her a tax resident of Florida, which is a zero state tax place. But while she's saving on tax, she has to account for flying back and forth to New York all the time, having a home in New York but then renting in Florida, account for all the administrative headaches, and she doesn't like Florida. Yeah. So that's probably another huge part. So it's also, why do we try to save on tax? We save on tax to have more money. Why do we have more money? Just so we can enjoy our life. But if suddenly the reason to save tax is putting you in a place where you're not enjoying. Yeah, it's become burdensome. That's where it becomes an issue. But if you have a win-win where you like the place where it also is low tax, then, knock yourself out. Yeah. Yeah, just be strategic. Think, ask your friends and family, but have a plan for your own life and then build your money around that. Because a lot of people, this is what I've been crapping on about for a few months. A lot of people are trying to make the right financial decision and they're getting twisted up inside because they need to make the right financial decision. The right financial decision could be 5 different things. Let's go, well, how do I want my life? How do I want to live it? What direction do I want to go? I'm doing that, then I'm plugging money into that. And you'll take action and you'll move rather than having all this money, I don't know what to invest in, ETFs, probably shares, and not do anything. Just analysis paralysis. Yes. Yeah. So plug your money into your life. We might leave it there. Sim, thank you so much for coming in today. Any parting words? My parting words would be that if you are suffering from analysis paralysis, you might have some comfort in knowing that people that suffer from analysis paralysis are often quite intelligent people because they think of all the things that could go right, all the things that could go wrong, then they end up with too much data and it makes them a bit overwhelmed and then they leave it. So you're clearly a very intelligent person and I'm sure you'll be fine in the long run. Absolutely. Love it. Well, you can buy Sim's book, Friends That Invest. We'll put a link in the show notes. We'll put a link to your podcast as well. Thank you. And you can catch Sim on Instagram, wherever you get your Instagram. And we need more followers for Sim. We've got to get her away from 666. Please unfollow us or follow us. Just take action. Move the needle. Take action. Take action. Thanks so much for listening and hanging out, everyone. My name is Glen James. You've been Sim, and I've been real. Okay, bye. Hey, it's Glen here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.